This is Gray Man Media content.
After more than a decade of denials, he confessed to 30 homicides committed in 7 different states between 1974 and 1978. An infamous killer with a cult-like following. Today on We'll Take a Bite, we talk about Theodore Robert Bundy.
I climbed into the hills.
I'm romantic. I would like Bigfoot to exist.
One type is about 3 feet tall, very dark, not humanoid at all, yet lizard-looking.
The creatures that I have seen mostly have been the greys.
To the search for truth, little grey men from outer space who actually abduct humans.
Welcome back to another episode of Wolf Takes a Bite podcast. I am your host, John Wolf, with my co-host, Devin Gray. Sorry, we're having technical difficulty. He's frozen. He froze, and there we are. What's up? You're going to hate today's episode.
Yeah, it's not going to be great.
You're going to hate it.
Yeah.
So, today we're talking about Theodore Robert Bundy, also known as Ted motherfucking Bundy.
John, we're talking about Ted Bundy.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with this Apple pose you got going on over here.
I'm about to sell you the next iMac. That's what's about to go down.
Apparent fucking Lee. All you're missing is the pinky ring.
Bro, if I could get the turtleneck.
I could see you doing that. That'd probably be a good look on you.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think my neck would bulge out the top.
No, that's the part of the turtleneck. It hides the neck.
Does it?
Yes.
I think
all 3 chins.
I think all of it would just kind of fluff up.
Well, no, your beard would look fuller because that's pretty much the only place you have.
This thing, good fucking luck.
What happened there?
What do you mean?
Well, did you shave the sides a little bit?
No, dude. This is just...
It's fluffing down here at the bottom?
I believe you.
You're rooster cocking.
Am I? It's what it is it's how I... It's a defense mechanism. It's how I look bigger to enemies.
Oh, see? Pufferfish, like I said.
No, peacocking.
It's peacocking. Pufferfishing.
Like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I ever get scared or intimidated, I'll just go...
Theodore Bundy! What do you know about Ted? Other than he's a gangster.
Probably not.
No, I like that. That was actually slick. Also, that's probably the best song out of any...
Thong?
Thong song.
That thong.
Thong. Wow, this is just thoughts. Why am I even talking about
No,
Ted Bundy?
hey, look.
Let's just do this for the rest of the season.
So actually, one thing I have noticed about the previous episodes, a lot of sound effects. Loving what you're doing there. It's not too much in any way, shape, or form.
Good.
No, it was like just the right amount.
Cool.
Yeah. Ted Bundy. No, I don't know a whole lot about Ted Bundy. I know he was like this guy. He's the one that like buried chicks in his backyard, right?
I mean, they all did.
They all did.
Pretty much, yeah. All the major serial killers.
No, I don't know a whole lot about Ted Bundy. I think when I was younger, I watched a documentary on the History Channel about him, but I mean, it's lost to memory.
Fair enough.
I blocked out the majority of my childhood, so
good. We're about to relive some trauma.
Not mine, but whoever's listening, if you were involved in any way, shape, or form, you should avoid.
Let's relive the trauma. I'm taking my glasses off so I can see better. Just kidding, so you can see my eyes better.
Look into the windows of this man's soul. I'm just gonna get this real quick. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Okay. This could be a 2-parter.
Could be. He's teasing.
I have enough info to do like 3.
He's teasing.
There's a shit ton on Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy is probably one of the more well-documented serial killers. A lot of interviews and like videos, audio recordings, and stuff like that. There's a bunch of information on him. But I will say this. I tried to condense it to some of the more interesting and less too well-known facts about him.
He's got the stuff that nobody else has got. He's got that good.
Well, according to all of his fans, yes. And as one of the more prolific serial killers, I will say it is interesting. He had fans. We'll get into it. He actually had fans that were like, "Oh, he killed people. I want to fuck him."
It's concerning at best, sir.
We'll get into that.
I'm ready.
I think it's fascinating. So, Theodore Robert Bundy, born November 24th, 1946, and through January 24th, 1989, was an American serial killer who kidnapped, raped, and murdered numerous young women and girls during the 1970s, possibly more. He confessed to possibly 30 or more homicides, but officially 30 homicides. He committed these homicides in 7 different states, and his true victim total is still unknown to this day, which actually we think could be way, way higher. Show picture here.
Of the total?
Sure. So Bundy was regarded as a very handsome and charismatic. He had traits that he exploited to win the trust of his victims and society in total. He would typically approach his victims in public places, feigning injury. That was a hard word. Feigning injury or disability or impersonating an authority figure before knocking them unconscious and taking them to secondary locations to rape and strangle them.
It's no good.
Steve Jobs.
I'm ready.
No relation. He sometimes revisited his victims, grooming and performing acts sexually with them and with their decomposing corpses. Until putrefaction had started, in which he just suddenly lost interest. Most of the bodies were found by wild animals, which made any further interactions impossible for him. He decapitated at least 12 victims and kept some of their heads as mementos in his apartment. On a few occasions, he broke into dwellings at night and bludgeoned his victims as they slept. In 1975, Bundy was arrested and jailed in Utah for aggravated kidnapping and attempted criminal assault. He then became suspect to a progressively longer list of unsolved homicides in several different states. Facing murder charges in Colorado, he engineered 2 dramatic escapes from prison and committed further assaults in Florida, including 3 murders. Before his ultimate recapture in 1978, for the Florida homicides, he received 3 death sentences in 2 different trials. He was executed at Florida State Prison in Rainford on January 24th, 1989.
You think, how fucked up would that be if they, killed the dude, resuscitated him, and then killed him 2 more times?
Well, in my opinion, if you're going to get consecutive death sentences, you're really getting a buy one, get one if you only kill the man once.
Well, in this case, he got buy one, get 2.
Well, I mean, why would they have multiples? I mean, I get that, but it really isn't a further punishment unless you bring them back to life.
I agree. I think it's more, it's for the survivors of the victims. It's like...
That would give me no consolidation whatsoever.
I understand. I'm in the same camp as you. I don't think that would help me any.
I mean, unless I get to kill him once, you get to kill him once, the state gets to kill him once, then somebody else gets to kill him once. I mean, that would make more sense.
If we really wanted to do it right, we would just tie these guys up and let every victim survivor give them a good cut.
Well, there's no survivors.
Well, the survivor, the
family survivors.
The people, yeah.
There's
the people who...
I don't think that's the right word.
No, I don't think so. But they say they are survived by their,
which is a stupid terminology.
Anyway. I agree. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, survived by late widow, blah blah blah.
But those guys should be able to give them a nice little gash before they.
Oh, they should be able to do something.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, even in
I'm kidding.
Penalty states, I'm not. Even in death penalty states, the honest truth is, it's not even a painful death. They're very humane about how they are. They're they give dogs, they put dogs down in more inhumane ways than serial killers and rapists and molesters, which is fucked up.
I'm not.
Also, they put more dogs down than serial killers, rapists, and molesters. Like, why are all these dogs getting death sentences? We need to be using that shit on these guys.
When I was younger,
Save dogs.
I agree with that. But when I was younger, I had a very concrete idea of the philosophy behind the death sentence. As I've grown older and I've read more about philosophy in general, I am now more convinced than ever I'm not the person who should be making those decisions. I'm glad I'm not in legislation.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely a judicial individual myself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Real judge, jury, and executioner type guy?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I feel
I'll
it.
make the hard decisions, but I can't make the laws. I just enforce them.
If you give me the parameters within to operate, I will do what I need to do.
I will come up with something creative for sure. Yeah, within that parameter. Like,
I mean, look at the show.
What
Look
is
at
too far?
Look at the show.
What is too far?
Yeah, it's clearly not Ted Bundy.
I mean, we covered cannibalism.
Sure did.
That was too far.
Was it? At this point, I'm not sure it was.
Ted Bundy.
It's only a matter of time before we go much, much further into the deep, dark arts of the world.
Oh, you have access to the dark web.
Anyone can.
You have access to the dark web.
I do.
We'll use that later.
All right. It's called Tor. You can download it. It's not hard.
I don't trust it.
I'm not telling you. I'm letting them know. If you're interested, it's not hard. But go on.
Toro.
T-O-R. Toros. Isn't that like how you rent like really exotic, like sweet ass cars?
Yes, actually.
Dude, I want to do that.
I've actually been on that app recently.
Have you?
Yeah, you know
it's
what?
expensive as shit.
No, I could get a Bugatti for a
Really?
weekend for like $300.
In Louisville?
Yeah.
Baller, dude.
Yeah.
That might be worth.
Want to slip around for a while?
I'm just saying, bro. A weekend?
A weekend.
Is it like there's a max miles you can drive or anything?
No.
Oh, they
Unlimited
fucked
miles.
up. They fucked up.
Limited miles.
All right, so we'll just get a bunch of uppers, and for 48 hours straight, we're gonna drive around in this Bugatti.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't end up in catastrophe.
What's the one with the trident? The car with the trident?
Oh, Koenigsegg.
Maserati. There's a Maserati in Louisville you can rent.
There's a couple Maseratis. I've seen them driving around. What does Koenigsegg look like? Oh, Koenigsegg is the egg, I think.
That makes sense.
I don't think so.
Koenigsegg.
I think that's the guy's last name.
Oh. So if it's an egg logo, I mean, that makes sense.
He's the one that made the why are we talking about this? He's the one that made the 1-to-1 car.
Oh.
So it weighed as much as it had horsepower.
Whoa.
Yeah. Fucking wild.
So 2020 Tesla, I've already seen it driving around Louisville several times.
Those things must be crazy.
It's a 2021 Tesla.
Uh-huh.
And it's like $200 a day or something.
Yeah.
But dude, that thing drives itself. And it goes 0 to 60 in 0.4 seconds.
Yeah, and it's like way different than any engine, like normal engine, because it's electric. It's like with a regular diesel or petrol.
We were gonna rent it and drive it up to Indianapolis,
It'd be sick.
or have it drive itself to Indianapolis and fuck on the way. I didn't really figure it out yet.
Yeah. I think there's like I think they have a mode where you have to put your hands on the steering wheel every couple minutes. You would just do it in the front seat. That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
That way you can,
I've seen a porno where he did that. This is off topic. I'm cutting all of this. Let's see. Cut to Devin's camera there.
That wasn't season 1. That was just us having an honest conversation.
Biographer Anne Rule described him as a sadistic psychopath who took pleasure from another human's pain and the control he had over his victims to the point of death, even after. He once described himself as the most cold-hearted son of a bitch you'll ever meet. Attorney Paulie Nielsen, a member of his last defense team, agreed that Ted, she wrote, was the very definition of heartless evil. His own defense team said that. They couldn't even defend him.
Were they trying to go for like insanity?
No.
Dude, hire different lawyers.
It was the 80s. The messed up truth about Ted Bundy's Fangirls. Now, here is where I wanted to talk about this, because this is probably the most fascinating thing about the motherfucker. He actually married somebody during his murder trial. While he was in prison, he married one of his fans. So there would be like 18 to 26-year-old women standing outside of the prison day in and day out with signs and flashing their tits and doing all this stuff in front of his window in his cell. Like, he could see it down. And in his documentaries, I think they do a really good reenactment of it. It's pretty interesting, but it's pretty accurate to the point. So one of Ted Bundy's admirers even managed to marry him during his criminal trial. I'm guessing because she wanted to have the infamy, more or less than anything. That's what they were attracted for.
That, and also there is a huge subsection of people who are really fascinated with the dark areas of life.
Well, I mean, now hopefully all of our viewers.
Yes, obviously, but like, especially when you start to learn. And I might be wrong about this, but like I've met a lot of women specifically who are real interested in that type of, serial killers and stuff like that. I know a lot of guys too.
Is this why it didn't work out with you and them?
Do what?
They're just like, oh, Devin, you haven't killed anybody? I'm sorry, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, that's a common issue I run into in my 27 years and 10 years of being with one woman. Yes, it's a constant issue. Yeah,
I'm sure.
But
like,
no.
oh, you look like you could kill somebody. Have you killed anybody? No. Oh, no, I'm not interested.
I'm not interested. Get the fuck out of here. Come back to me when you're about it.
I need to see the blood on your hands.
No, but yeah, there's a certain fascination with the dark arts, especially people who aren't willing to go there mentally or physically. So
I don't know if I'd call it dark arts.
I would.
I would call it acts, because dark arts makes it sound like it's
well
fruitful in some
that's because
manner.
of your background in witchcraft and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking more of a philosophical side of things.
I hear you. Maybe you just watch too much Harry Potter.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's certainly magic.
The dark arts.
Sure.
Harry.
Absolutely.
Join us, Harry.
If you're not capable of going there mentally, a lot of people need to go there physically. And
that's usually where it goes. And
there
you see that.
There is an art to philosophy and a certain way of thinking. So, I don't really disagree with dark arts calling it that, but there's an art to it without losing yourself.
I guess so. But I mean, if you do go that route, I think you lose yourself in some manner.
Everyone has to.
It's definitely weird, though, because there is a staggering, and I don't know if I'll even show the statistics on this episode. We'll find out. But what I will say is there is a staggering number of people that psychology researchers and dissertations have proven that, like, there's a large number of people that that don't do the acts, but absolutely think about the acts to a point of obsession.
I think it's obsession's different. Yeah, I agree with that. But I think there's something primal, especially in men and furthermore young men. I mean, who hasn't thought about like just bashing the shit out of something? Just like not even maliciously, just thought about it. There's something real primal about that. And I think because,
I mean, you're fucking her and she's pissing you off. She said some shit earlier, and then you just want to smack her.
That's the same thing I said.
Bat.
Yep, same thing I said.
Well, I'm just getting clarification with more graphic detail on this episode.
That's what I said. Yep, specifically that.
You want to go into more detail, Devin?
Please do.
No, you.
No, I didn't. I didn't think anyway. If you're thinking about what I'm saying, you know exactly which thoughts you've had. You know the ones I'm talking about. They may be something like John said. They may be something totally different, but you know the ones.
Do some soul searching on that one.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But don't go killing motherfuckers.
I'd rather somebody think about it than actually do it. Right? I mean, what's the lesser of two evils, Devin? What do you think is worse? Thinking about it or doing it?
In what context?
In any of the perverted contexts that we are talking about in this individual. If he were just to think about these acts and wallow in his own self-misery versus actually committing the acts, would that not have been better?
I think that...
For society, at least. Like, let's put it somewhere more timid. If you have a drug addict, and they just think about doing drugs all the time, but they don't actually do drugs.
That doesn't work.
Why not? If they were able to just cut off the actual physical act of doing drugs, but they were just able to think about it.
You ever had withdrawals?
Yeah.
Just thinking about doing the drug doesn't help.
I'm not saying it does, but I'm saying there is people that live their lives that way. Really? Still?
No comment.
This is an interesting conversation. As reported by Orlando Sentinel, Bundy and Carol Boone met in 1974 while they were working together in Olympia, Washington. During his trial, Bundy insisted on taking an active role in his defense and was permitted to question Boone, who testified on his behalf. During the questioning, Bundy proposed and Boone accepted the proposal. Bundy then stated, "I do hereby marry you." He married himself to her. As they had already applied for a marriage license and notary was present in the courtroom and with witnesses to do the exchange. Now, the couple was legally married in the middle of the murder trial. Boone testified that Bundy was a warm, kind, and patient man who never displayed any destructiveness towards people. However, Psychology Today reports Boone was likely ignoring who Bundy really was, and had instead fallen in love with what she wanted him to be, not what he actually was. Although Boone knew Bundy before his trial, it has been suggested that the media's portrayal of Bundy inspired the admirers he gained following his arrest. As reported by Psychology Today, author Ann Rule, who knew Bundy personally, said Bundy was not handsome, brilliant, or charismatic. In her opinion, he somehow became all of those things as the media embraced him. Polly Nielsen was part of Bundy's defense team and expressed similar statements and sentiments. Although she said that she sensed a degree of insecurity in Bundy, she said his charm was too obviously disingenuous to be truly charming. That's a lot of mouth words.
Mouth words. Someone coin it.
Polly Nielsen, who was part of Bundy's defense team, expressed similar sentiments, although she said that she sensed a degree of insecurity in Bundy, and she said that his charm was too obviously disingenuous to be truly charming. Now, most of Ted Bundy's admirers never met him in person. State Archives of Florida State Prison and Florida Memory via Wikipedia, as also reported by Psychology Today. Author Sheila Leinsberg has suggested many women who romanticize killers like Ted Bundy were abused in past relationships and have essentially been conditioned to seek difficult relationships. In addition to often denying the convicted killers were capable of committing the crimes, Leinsberg suggests that they find the idea of being involved with an inmate and the challenges it presents to be exciting and or thrilling. Although some of Ted Bundy's admirers insisted he was not innocent, or insisted he was innocent, others were keenly aware that he did what he did. However, they believed that they somehow had the power to change him. As reported by Crime Viral, a vast majority of Bundy's fans only knew him through media reports and interviews. Therefore, they formed ideas about him and who he was without ever having met or interacted with him in person. Having only seen a brief glimpse of Bundy, Crime Viral reports that they did not have the opportunity to gain insight into his true personality or the fact that he had a psychopathic personality. Bundy himself admitted a huge part of his life was hidden from everyone. Some women simply view inmates like Bundy as a perfect boyfriend. As they are incarcerated, the women know that they cannot leave the facility and are unlikely to have the opportunity to cheat, and are lonely or bored enough to maintain consistent contact with these types of individuals. Ted Bundy remains one of the United States' most notorious serial killers throughout the mid to late 1970s. He traveled throughout the country, killing at least 30 women in 7 different states, in addition to abducting, raping, and killing his victims. Cut to Devin.
So it sounds like this is an episode about the phenomena of women falling in love with Ted Bundy more than it is about Ted Bundy. Is that correct? That's what we're covering in the first half of this episode?
Well, this portion, yes. Now, I am going to get into Ted's early life.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. It is very strange. And even weirder that somebody would marry. But these people are obviously sick. I mean, in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, they wouldn't.
Or just victims. With victim mentality and abuse cycles.
Right, they're sick. If they're stuck in that kind of pattern, they need to look inward. Probably speak to a therapist. A good one. But I mean,
it's just as dangerous.
When you're absolutely can. But when you're talking to, when you're not only talking to a serial killer who's on trial but you agree to marry them, you need to look inward. Seek help.
So here is the interesting part. Although he ultimately confessed to killing 36 women, per his biography that he wrote, Bundy was convicted of only 3 murders.
He got 3 death sentences for the 3 murders, even though he admitted to over 30.
He only was convicted of 3 murders.
Wow. They not have enough evidence on the other ones, even though they had a
Other than
confession.
his fucking confession, which somehow didn't make it into the arraignment. I mean, I guess they didn't need any more. He got 3 life death sentences.
They got it done. They got it done, right?
They got it done.
They did what they needed
But
to do.
is that really justice?
No,
No, it's not.
it isn't.
Most likely probably because they couldn't identify or find the rest of the bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're talking over 30 people, maybe more,
And across the country, too.
across the country.
Yeah, it's a large footprint. Mm-hmm. And he was tried in the state of Florida. Is that right?
Yes, he was found guilty of killing 2 Florida State University students along with the attempted murder of 3 others. Then in 1980, he was actually convicted of murdering a 12-year-old girl in a separate trial.
Shit.
All 3 were rape and killings, and he was sentenced for death for all 3 killings.
That's fucked, man.
Yep. Now, the heinous nature of Bundy's crimes was enough to draw international attention to his case. However, his physical appearance and demeanor also captured the attention of a startling number of women, as we have discussed. During Bundy's trial, reporters approached one of his admirers and asked about their fascination with the accused killer. And as reported by Crime Viral, the woman simply replied, "He just doesn't look like the type to kill somebody."
Wow. Wow.
Some dumb people in the 70s and 80s.
There is monsters all around, and they don't look like monsters. They look like regular ass people. Mm-hmm. If you ever needed concrete evidence, there you go.
Absolutely.
Ted Bundy, ladies and gentlemen.
If he travels in a van, be cautious.
Yeah.
Or a VW bug. Because apparently a lot of killers like those VW bugs.
They look so innocent, the little cars.
You don't think you can fit a body in there, but apparently you can.
They're big old bubbles, though.
Yeah, you can fit at least 2 bodies in the trunk.
It's a lot bigger car than you may think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of headspace.
I'm trying to remember the name of there. It was a remake movie or whatever that was like based on the true story of the California highway killer. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was really, really good. I'm sure if you do even a half-ass Google search, you'll find it.
They had a similar like arch nemesis bad guy in Criminal Minds. He was like kind of like going up and down a highway, and they were following him.
That's what that was based on. Actually.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Criminal Minds also, they cover a lot of stuff too. I think they actually made an disillusion in some of the earlier seasons that they were going after Ted Bundy but never got him.
Really?
Yeah. Which just shows the FBI didn't do shit.
I thought it was more modern than that. Maybe a version of it, but
well, I mean, adaptive stories. I mean, there's only so many well-documented serial killers, and I'm sure that they take a lot of that for their scripting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to, write to what you know.
Yep.
Based on real life, it's easy.
Cold case files too.
Fact is often much more interesting than fiction.
So, I don't know how this is going to edit down. I see we're just about over 30.
36 minutes, yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get some thoughts, and then we can wrap up and move on to the other portion, I guess.
What are your thoughts? I think I've mentioned you've read a lot, but I've given my opinions. What are you thinking so far?
I feel like you've avoided a lot of opinions.
I avoided one.
I think that, obviously, it's a very fascinating case. I mean, Ted Bundy is, again, one of the most documented people.
Yeah.
But I think that I find a lot of inconsistencies is his motivation. They don't really talk about that. And that's something I'm actually about ready to get into the audio portion of this podcast, where we talk about his early life and maybe try to discern what his motivations to do this was.
I don't know anything about Ted Bundy. I know basically what you just told me, which sounds like a lot of women liked him. So with not much to go off of sounds pretty fucked up. I don't know, man. Weird as shit. But I don't know, man. I know you're about to tell me probably a bunch of horrible fucking things that happen.
I can only hope.
So anyway, if you're interested in any of that, John knows where you can listen to that.
You can find us anywhere podcasts can be found. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, as well as
Tuner, Deezer,
Google Podcasts too.
probably.
All of them.
Literally.
Anywhere. Except for SoundCloud, probably. I think it's the only place we're not.
Yeah, because we have to manually upload
Yep.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. That's too much work.
far too much. Hey, if you want to hear us on SoundCloud, comment below.
Comment somewhere. Yeah. Comment on Apple.
It's been like 2 months since we've had a review. We would love one.
I would like any review whatsoever.
Yeah.
Had a customer earlier this week,
Yeah.
like 80s. Listen to the show. Please leave a review. By the way, I swear a lot.
Yeah. He does.
Try not to.
It's gotten much better over the year.
Fuck! Alrighty, folks. Well, like I said, go ahead and check us out on those locations. Be able to get more information if you watch the ad here at the end of this video. And subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time. Good night. Hey, it's John Wolf. How you doing? If you liked that episode, which I know you did, you can listen to the rest of it anywhere you find podcasts, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. Also, go ahead and hit that notification icon for the YouTube channel so you don't ever miss another episode like this again. And for all things Will Takes a Bite, go to greenmanmediaco.com.